Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Today is a Truth Tuesday. So, my buddy Satoshi Sean will be joining us. We've got some great news, I hear, for you. I've got some really crappy news to bring you, but Sean is going to brighten the day today. So, be sure to join us in the live chat and smash the like. We'll be right back with Satoshi Sean right after this. How's it going, Sean?
It's going okay. My shoulder hurts really bad.
You said you might have hurt yourself.
Yeah, I am worried about it. It's really it really hurts. I've been lifting a lot more, and when I started really getting back into lifting, it was cracking like whenever I would do butterflies. So I know it's messed up, and I haven't really lifted it this millennium, seriously. So
Not a great way to start the day, but I think he just accidentally kicked himself out. Hey Dana, thanks for joining us. I'm sure he'll come right back. I think he banged on his computer or counter or something. Let's see. Oh, I hear him popping back in. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? There he is. You're back.
I am here. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. I thought this was an interesting, well, there's a couple things that I thought were interesting. I kind of shared some with you. So Carolyn Ellison got 2 years today. Everything's kind of since the P. Diddy thing. This was an interesting Q post that I did not realize or remember this, but it talks about, so Elon recently posted that Twitter was not only a social media company, but a crime scene. And then this talks about, when does a bird sing, which, Twitter is a bird. And then you're seeing all of these, and then this fight, and the goodbye hashtags, goodbye, fight. And we all know Trump said fight when at the assassination attempt. Last night, or was it last night or night before? I think it was last night. He was saying, he was acknowledging his hair, and it looked like a pink light was on it. And he was like, look at that good looking guy. And then I guess last night or today, Pink has deleted all of her tweets.
Yeah, it was a couple of days ago. She did. She deleted like 10,000 tweets, and then Usher did
too.
But yeah, I think that's I think Diddy is the canary.
And music is about to stop.
Yeah.
These are all there's a lot of comms out there pointing to a lot of that stuff. Maxing out their cards, the Fed. So we all know the banks are in trouble because of unrealized, all those. Putin's talking about for centuries, Western elites grew accustomed to filling their stomachs with human flesh, and they've been stuffing their pockets with money, but they must all realize this ball of vampires is about to end. Those are words out of Putin's mouth.
If you're not going to hear, I need to. The thing you sent me on the lady in front of Congress.
Yes.
I think if
which one? The one about the chronic disease, or the SEC?
Yeah, that one.
This one.
Yeah. So
fallen victim to America's unchecked obesity crisis and overall.
I think that the whole. Did you see the thing about Joe Rogan and his interview with that Weinstein guy, not the physicist, this other guy? He said basically, it's so much simpler the way the guy put it. He's like a statistician. And, I always talk about we need to have a government office of statistics where there's just a bunch of actuaries, and you can say, what are the odds of this? So,
Mhm.
because they always say, oh, this, this weird thing happened and it caused this and caused that, and none of those weird, crazy mouse traps that were, all thinking in that's what happened. And I'm always like, that doesn't make sense. What are the odds? What are the odds? So
Right.
this dude is a statistician, and he went over the election result. I remember how, like, that would go down, like, Biden was losing by 20,000 votes, and then the counting place would like go dark, and there was a problem. And when
Right.
it came back, there was exactly 21,000 votes.
Right.
He was like, if Trump would have never run and would have never won the election, I would have never seen this data. It wouldn't have been created. And he's like, these movements are statistically impossible. He's like, the odds of it are so astronomical that it would happen once, but it happened like 2 or 3 times. He's like, this is totally impossible. And what he did is he proved that there's a cheat level. You can't, it can't, and they pushed it to like the limit.
To
And
where
then,
it's obvious.
that's what I said back in 2016,
Yeah.
that they cheated, but they can cheat by, and then Joe Rogan's like, so what can they cheat by? 20%, 30%. So there's an actual number that they can kind of get
Well,
away
that's
with.
why Trump's saying the too big to rig thing. Like, we have to get everybody out
Yeah,
to
I think
vote.
that's what happened in 2016. There were so many people that never voted. There were
Right.
so many rednecks. There were so many.
But that was where
actually
if you did
overwhelmed
go vote in 2020, there was a huge turnout. I mean, people were standing, there were lines out. I know at the church I vote at, there were lines out around the church
Yeah,
down.
I don't ever
the road.
16 too.
It's crazy.
That's what I was most shocked by. Is I've never seen that before, my whole
Yeah.
life.
So this post that you guys are seeing up on the screen, she's talking about the reason Sean's saying that is that she's talking about how it's just undeniable how bad the health has gotten.
No, the reason I'm saying that is because
Oh, I thought that's
RFK put out this video, which I'll pull up. You can play, but it's much shorter, and it's basically everything that she said. And I think he is going to be in charge of the FDA, cleaning house, and all that. If that's what I was coming to, if Trump wins the election, I think that's what he's going to do. He's pushing Make America Healthy Again.
Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's I thought I had the video of him talking. This one,
like
he's talking about the CDC held secret meetings about rise of autism from vaccinations and all that, or a different one?
Which one?
Are you talking about this video of RFK?
No, it's like an ad. Let me see. I'll see. It's on his channel.
But thank you for asking.
Popular video here. No. We have to fix the food system. No, it's him and Trump Jr. I'm sure. I bet he has like more than one channel. Yeah. Because he's standing outside. It's like a short commercial.
That's okay. We don't have to play it.
Oh, well.
There's some other stuff going on. I guess the FCC just fast-tracked George Soros to purchase 220 radio stations.
They approved it. And he's like, right before the election, he would control so much
media.
Yeah, so much media.
This was also very interesting. The U.S. lawmakers made a plan for possible mass casualty event, proposing a constitutional amendment to replace members quickly and change various lines of succession in a, quote, national crisis. But then I also had somebody
found it.
This. Did you know that Congress can be arrested when they're adjourned, which is October 1st? So could that be, well, that's good. Now we have something in place. If they're all arrested, then we now have something constitutionally in place to replace them all quickly as well. So are all the pieces in place to replace them all? Because if the P. Diddy thing is,
The bad guys are still in control of all that stuff. There still are.
you don't believe.
I think it's coming out. Like you said, there's a lot of stuff's exposed.
Yeah.
The good thing, I sent you that video by the way in private chat.
Okay.
The good thing that I wanted to talk about is they the guy, the head of the COVID czar for New York.
Yes. Do you want me to play this RFK?
You can play it's yeah. That's, I think if Trump wins, he's going to be the one to go in to the. I think Vivek's going to hit the intelligence community, and I think that RFK will hit the.
Talk about the biggest myth of the national obesity epidemic. The biggest myth is that if you're obese or overweight, it's your fault. Today, 3/4 of American adults are obese or overweight, including 40% of American teenagers. Back when I was growing up, childhood obesity was almost unheard of. But you don't need statistics to know that something has changed. Look at the photographs of beaches or state fairs from the 1950s. Something has changed, and it isn't human nature. We haven't suddenly become lazy or gluttonous. What has changed is our food system, our diets, and the hormone-disrupting chemicals in our food, in our water, and our soil. We are being mass poisoned. Today, they tell you that you have obesity, like it was some kind of contagious disease. They treat it as if your body malfunctioned, and they give you a shot to control it. Or they make it about your lack of self-control. Well, that's an insult to anyone who has tried and struggled to lose weight. So what are they ignoring when they make it all about you and your body and your willpower and your character? And the solution is always a shot or a pill that somebody is going to cash in on. What they're ignoring is a food supply that's loaded with high fructose corn syrup and seed oils and hundreds of artificial additives and flavors and processed carbohydrates that don't exist in nature and that are banned in other countries. They ignore a skewed system of subsidies that make these unnatural, ultra-processed foods cheap. They ignore chemical contamination from pesticides that is wreaking havoc on our body. Now, let me tell you what we're going to do about it. We're going to change the subsidies so that everyone can afford safe and wholesome food. We're going to get industry money out of government so that consumers and doctors can actually trust our agencies again. We're going to make school lunches nutritious again. We're going to ban harmful chemicals from the food supply. We're not going to force or coerce or shame anyone. We're going to lower the costs and lower the barriers and get rid of the perverse incentives and clean out the chemicals so that the American people won't be swimming upstream anymore through a soup of toxic substances just to be healthy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he didn't just here are the problems. Here's the problems. He talked about like what they need to do, and that's a huge thing about like the subsidy thing. If you have to it's like this is a rabbit hole you really need to go down to see how things are controlled, because that used to be like the argument. It was like Happy Meals were $1.99. They were so easy, and they're just bad for the kids. And it's bad, but if you're busy, you have two sets of twins, it's like really, really easy to just go and get, some Happy Meals. And then they're ecstatic, whereas they would not be as happy if we went home and I was like, wait until I can cook this or.
Right.
So things have been set up. And then it is true that it was much cheaper to eat ramen and
Junk.
macaroni and cheese and that kind of stuff.
All the stuff on the inside of the grocery store.
Yeah.
Processed.
Yeah. So, going back to like the 50s and 60s and it's not like the money's not there. And I think people are starting to wake up to that. That it's like, hey, if you have $100 billion to give to some country or for a war, then number one, you have too much money, so I shouldn't be taxed as much as I am, and you definitely shouldn't raise them. And number two, there's so many things that you could take care of here that we need taken care of, and you're sending it over to a different country. So I think that people have been asleep for a while, and they are starting to wake up. And like I said, just ask why, and common sense is starting to come back. Not critical thinking, that would be way too far, but just common sense, you know, um, which is good. The good news though is that so that came out. Crowder did this, and he supposedly has done this huge, like 6 month, year long, whatever, undercover investigative journalism stuff that he says is be coming out all the way to like Halloween. Um, and the first thing that he put out was is huge. That the czar that was in charge of all the COVID policy, this doctor, he was like the Fauci of New York, um, was having like underground sex parties and raves and doing all this stuff during COVID.
I heard about that.
So
there's a video of them talking about like,
yeah, he was telling them all about it, which people posted, and I'm like, yeah, but who gives a crap? Everything sucks, blah blah blah. He was fired.
Oh.
Immediately. And he's like, things are happening that haven't happened before. And the NYPD is going through a bunch of investigations into itself, and people are stepping down and getting in trouble. Right after the P Diddy thing, like all these, but it's happened before. And when you pointed out, all these CEOs stepped down and nobody talked about it.
And nothing happened. But now it's happening again.
But now people are talking about it. So I think that there's a, and Rogan made this point years ago. He's like, so Jeffrey Epstein had this island and all this stuff happening. It's about intelligence gathering. He goes, do you think that that's the only island? He goes, man, I bet there's another island going on right now. And Johnny B said that. He goes, there's tons of islands. This is a huge thing. It's been what they've.
And the videos are starting to come out. Like there's some video apparently out, like for general public to see, of Justin Bieber with some two black guys.
Yeah, and then
when he was a kid,
the Ellen thing.
And they said
that come out about Ellen going to the P Diddy party, and I remember watching that when he's like, you don't come to my parties. He goes, well, and then they were talking about P Diddy's parties, and he was really weird about Ellen, but supposedly she's like, stuff's coming out about her and Bieber, and then you remember I told you about Jennifer Aniston and her when they start talking about pizza. And like when that's code,
it was awkward.
It was so creepy because they got like so excited, like it was an inside joke. Like you could tell, how people are.
Yeah.
It was just so weird. So I think the P Diddy thing is like an op. It's just but I think they're going to sacrifice so many of the useful idiots that they've used. No one in real power, but musicians, rappers, entertainers, all people are easily replaceable. Basically, I think they're going to wipe a lot of it away, which I think is going to be good. I think it'll clean up Hollywood a bit. But as far as like, I think we need to look past what you see, because what you see is not, you see what they want you to see, which like Soros bought those other stations.
But we know about it. In the past, you wouldn't even know about it.
Yeah, but we knew about it. But I guess it's proved now, but we knew about it. The thing about Tom Hanks, which I think that's the big one. If the Tom Hanks crazy shit is true, which I thought you were completely wrong on, and over the years, I have come to think maybe the Baphomet thing in Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
That pushed me over the line because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that is super deliberate,
Mm-hmm.
and I never saw that before. So if he goes down, then I think it's real, like a real.
He's been gone a long time.
Really, who? It's not gone.
Yes, he's gone.
He hosted Saturday Night Live. It's live.
Sean.
My cousin's friend was there. I saw him.
No, it's AI. It's not
Dude,
him.
AI is
He
such
has a cousin or a brother, twin brother or cousin or something that was
Really?
captured
Twin brother?
for a little while. Something like that. Yeah, I can't remember. Jason would remember, but I can't remember. There was also some congressional hearings on the Finance Committee today.
Mhm.
I did not hear them. I was at school all day, but I caught a little bit of one piece that Riz shared. If you're not following Sovereign Riz, go follow Sovereign Riz on Twitter. He's a great advocate for
Crypto Mom was
free.
laying it out there.
Yeah. So check this out.
Do you think that one reason why multiple terms are being used here for crypto is that there's no regulatory clarity or consensus identifying which tokens may or may not be offered pursuant to an investment contract?
I think that's absolutely true. We've taken a legally imprecise view to mask the regulatory lack of clarity.
So this question of an investment contract, the SEC defined crypto asset securities as an investment contract represented by the underlying crypto asset. Yet, tucked away in a footnote on an amended complaint, the SEC clarified a security is determined by the, quote, contracts, expectations, and understandings centered on the sales and distribution of a digital asset, and not that the digital asset itself is a security. Is the SEC using inconsistent standards here? I mean, is that what's happening?
I think what's happening is that we're trying to be ambiguous because the legal precision carries with it real implications. And this is why people have been coming to us and saying we need clarity. Is the token itself a security? Or is it part of an investment contract? Is it being sold together with an investment contract? If it is, what is that investment contract and how long does it track along with the token? By using imprecise language, we've been able to sort of suggest that the token itself is a security apart from that investment contract, which has implications for secondary sales. It has implications for who can list it. And I think this is absolutely, we've fallen down on our duty as a regulator not to be precise. And so tucking into a footnote that, yes, we admit that now actually the token itself is not a security, that's something that we should have admitted long ago and then started wrestling with the difficult questions.
Right.
That's huge. That is what, so like the very community specifically has asked for clarity. I mean, there's over and over, I'm sure multiple other communities have asked for clarity on tokens in a secondary market. And so for her to literally say that right in Congress, it's like,
Yeah.
it's a game changer for so many.
I went over on me and on the Crypto Rednecks. I talked about how Trump's family's crypto they put out. And it talked about working with the SEC, and they had to submit like a Schedule D. I thought it was really cool that this information was being put out of what he did procedurally. So I said, it looks to me like he's doing like a like trying to create the framework by doing it himself to where, hey, this worked. It was classified as this. We submitted this form. We did this. this should be like, because you said that's why so many projects, number one, they don't want to mess with the United States.
Right.
And there's so much ambiguity because nobody wants to. I don't want to give them that excuse anymore. I don't think that the puppets have been told what to do, and they're puppets, so they're not used to acting with their own brain, you know. So that's what I
Kamala,
think.
Kamala is not pro crypto. She says it's for criminals. Just HIN, just to clarify. She has not been in support of cryptocurrency. She says it's for criminals, and so I don't think that that's.
She did come out and talk, but she's also, that's the thing. She's not a real like person. I mean, she is, but like I just said, they're all puppets, and they just do what they're told. So, if
Unless she's flipped on that since.
Yeah, that's the thing. She'll flip on anything because she'll do what she's told. She'll believe what she's told, and she'll say that's what she believes. I think that's how most everyone is up at that level. There's not a lot of people bucking the system. If they are, then they're massively attacked by the mainstream media.
There was one other bill that was brought up. It's completely unconstitutional. I'm sure it did not pass, but I haven't followed up on it. But I am sent. He was out of town this weekend with his wife, and so we didn't do a show yesterday. But I guess they were trying to ban militias.
Yeah.
And they put a bill forward to ban militias.
Is a bill? Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about that.
That's completely insane. And that, I mean, I guess that could be the thing like you've talked about before. Well, they'll put it forward, and if they really want to, and then the Supreme Court will come in.
Right.
And
well, if they, which think about that, what are we worried about happening in like what 2 months, less than 2 months? So if that goes through, which honestly, good chance, then during the election or so, afterwards, that's in place. And it could take, they rush it 6 months. So the election would have happened and we would be in spring, heading into summer before it's taken away. It would have done what it needed to do. If because to me, I'm like 50-50. If they do what they did again and it's obviously faked, I think Trump's gonna either give up, die, but he will not, or he'll stand up and say, okay, that's it. Doesn't work. And what they said he did will happen. So I think that's a way to hedge the bet and to make sure it doesn't happen, is to have that law in place, which people are starting to wake up that it's not the police you need to support, that it's the law. And because especially in the 2A community, there's a meme. It's like, that the police are the ones who would come and take the guns. It's like everyone's like, oh, you pry from my cold dead hands, and then you're like, I support the police. You should support law, and like we've talked about the sheriffs. Whenever there's any kind of unconstitutional bill like that, it's always the sheriff's counties that stand up and say, we're not gonna enforce this. This is unconstitutional. We took an oath. No, very rarely do you see a police chief stand up and say that. Number one, because they're not the same type of law enforcement. They're not like, they're under the county. The county is, has, like, when you're talking about jurisdictions, but a policeman is a trash man. They're a city employee. There's like, it's very they're on the city payroll or a city employee. There's not much difference, except that they have been given the the authority to enforce the law.
The policies is what, right? The police enforce the policies,
Yeah.
and then the sheriff is supposed to defend we the people's constitutional rights.
Well, no, all cops are supposed to defend your constitutional rights. They all take that oath. So I don't. That might be one of the things that after the United States falls, that we rebuild and there is no more city police. That there's just giant sheriff's departments.
Constitutional sheriff department.
Yeah, and they would have like offices, but it's all, and then like the sheriff would be a much more important role because they would handle the all of the law enforcement for like your whole, which they do, but there's no more no more city. They would just, everyone would be under that, and then everyone would say, I can see how easy it would be to manipulate people to get out of that system, which would be better, because now I got people over in Gatesville who are taking they're putting in, changing like what laws are in our town. But and what do you think about that? I know we're running out of time, but I told you it's illegal to fart here. My friend got a ticket for farting, one of her kids.
Well, I think that's ridiculous.
But the law was made, city ordinance.
I would go to court for that.
It's not a law, it's a city ordinance. So so that you cannot admit a foul odor that disrupts the community. It's meant for people to like don't put their trash out or don't have a bunch of stinky stuff in their yard. So that's what the ordinance was for. But the cop gave him a ticket because he farted on the cop.
I would take it right to the court. I would go to jail. I would not pay the ticket. I would go to court, and so that the court could see the misuse of the abuse, the lawfare that the judge or that the police used on me.
See the way I didn't think the
And
way
let
the law
the judge dismiss the
I think the way the law is set up is because this friend
ticket.
of mine from Consent of the Governed is like, you can't go to jail for breaking a city ordinance because it's not a law. But you don't. You're fined, like $400.
Right, but you can.
But
You
when
have
you
a court
don't
date.
pay the fine, you can go to jail for not paying a fine. So I said that they just work around that, and
But you
that is
court date.
that's something that we've
Go
allowed to happen. So do you think cities should be able to make their own laws like that and call them just a city ordinance? Or
If
should it
they're of the people,
so
if
that
they-
people would have to vote on all ordinances?
yeah,
Yeah, I can see that.
so it's like a community agreeing and saying this is what we want for our community.
I don't understand how HOAs are a thing. They're the most. When I learned about them as a kid, and I was like, "What? No?" Because like someone said, "Oh, we can't paint our house that color because the HOA won't allow it."
Well, then don't live there.
Yeah, but I think and recently they have come out. I think it was a Supreme Court, or was at least a state Supreme Court, that HOAs are illegal.
I don't know about
I mean,
that.
we're looking in Texas at getting rid of property tax because once you buy something, it's yours. No one can take it away.
It should be, yeah. It
Yeah.
really should be.
And,
Yeah.
I think, and with I think where we're at now is such a critical time where it's the end, and I think that there's going to be a lot more desperation, like Soros buying right before the election. They're desperate to hold on to the power that they have.
Mhm.
I'm worried that they're going to start World War III or some kind of war with Iran. Kamala is sending troops into the Middle East to, I think, actual boots on the ground. we've pushed Putin to the edge. Once we let them shoot long range rockets into the heart of Russia that are our rockets, it's very it's too many lines. But I have been researching and looking into it, and that was the goal all along. Is for us to take over Russia. Russia has 3 times, at least double, but I think 3 times the wealth of our natural resources that the U.S. has, and we have 47 or 49 trillion dollars worth of assets in natural resources, our gas and all that. But Russia triples it. So we've always wanted that, and that was the plan after World War II, is to take over Eurasia, and we promised that NATO would not move any further to the east. We broke that a million times, but we won once Soviet Union crumbled. Boris Yeltsin was our puppet, and they were trying to kill him and get rid of him, and we had him squashed all the nationalist movements. We were on the road to take over and get all that sweet natural resources, and then Putin did shady shit and very, very shady stuff, and then he took power and he stopped the plan. That's why he's so hated, is because he stopped our plan to take over. But so we'll see. But I said they're very, very desperate to hold on to the power that they have, and they're worried about losing it, which
we'll see. There's a lot of things happening that, like them bombing Lebanon and all this, that people having other people play out their war.
Yeah, we killed Iran's ambassador. Or, I don't know if we killed him, but we blew him up. Or not sorry. The Israelis blew him up.
Right.
The ambassador from Iran, so this high-level Iranian dignitary, who was in the embassy in Syria, he happened to have Hezbollah pager.
Oh my gosh.
So he blew up. So and so we
knew who had pagers, right?
Well, that's the thing. That's the bigger deal. That even they didn't know who all had pagers, but now they know, because if everyone that went to the hospital or had to get medical attention, there's no doubt you work for Hezbollah. So Israel literally has just completely confirmed over 3,000, combatants or enemies, so they know who to watch.
Here's some breaking news before we head over to your channel. U.S. Capitol hit by large-scale dark web cyber attack. Passwords leaked throughout staffers signing up for adult websites and dating apps. It's going down, guys.
It's interesting. Save that when we go over my channel, because I want to talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So join us over there. We'll talk about that and so much more. See you guys over on Sean's channel. There is a link in the description if you guys are looking for it. Thanks, and hit the likes on the way out.
Hit the like on the way down to that link.